Hey everybody, it's Rolly. So today is day 27 of our soulful journey. And so one of the things that I wanted to share about the soulful journey before I get into today's topic is that if you are catching this right now at this beginning stage, one of the things that we are doing in our back end is we're going to take the soulful journey 30-day challenge and move it into our learning portal. So it's actually going to be all the videos, all the audio, everything is going to be moved into that portal so that you're going to have access to it with all the downloads, with the workbook. All that stuff is going to be in there. So if this is something that you're interested in, send me an email at info@rollyalaire.ca and we will make sure that you get access to that right away. Everything's going to be in one handy little spot to make things a lot easier. And so that is where that is going to go. And so I'm looking forward to being able to share that with you. So if you are catching this on a replay and it is later on down the road, then just send us an email if you wanted to be able to have access to all of these workbooks and these worksheets and coming in and joining us that way. So let me know. Today we're talking about breath work. So we're talking about the fact that breath work is the fundamental basis on everything that we do. So we talked about mindfulness a lot this month. We've talked about being able to do a number of use of different techniques. But if we are not focusing on our breath, then we are going to continue with the struggles that we're having. So one of the things that I want to be able to share around breath work is that if I am in a state of panic of whatever sort, it doesn't matter what kind of sort, like whatever it is that's going on, if you tell me to just breathe, I am going to lose it. And even though I know cognitively that I need to be breathing, when somebody will tell me, well, just breathe, just relax, just breathe, that's not going to help me being able to do that part of the breathing exercises. And so that's not going to bring me into that state of calm. For the most part, I can get into that state of calm by simply just realizing what's going on. It's like, okay, so I just need to rethink and I need to jig whatever it is that's going on in my mind. And typically I can actually bring myself back into that calm state. However, that's taken a lot of practice. That's taken a lot of time for me to be able to get into that state. It isn't something that has just overnight that I just said, oh, okay, I'm going to just learn how to do this breathing exercises. So one of the things that has really helped me learn how to be able to use the breathing techniques the most is by helping kids do the breathing. So as a parent, as a practitioner, like there's been lots of times that I've actually worked with the kids to be able to focus on the breathing. And so being able to get my belly filled with air is one of the easiest techniques that I have actually taught. And so it's like, okay, so then take a deep breath and like make your hands come way out. And so that has been something that has been really helpful to be able to just practice that breathing. But when do we do this? Not when we're in a state of whatever it is. So when we're in a state of anxiety, a state of rage, a stage of anger, a stage of grief, whatever it is that we're going through, that is not the time to be practicing it. To be able to call on it is when we want to be able to do this. So doing number of different exercises to be able to do that, including yoga. So yoga, the Wim Hof method is something that I have learned that I don't know that I'll ever be able to do. So it is actually really cool because it actually teaches you breathing when you're in cold water. Cool. Like, did you catch that? That wasn't an intended pun, but you actually submerge yourself in ice cold water, and you actually do breathing techniques. And then, like I said, it's not something that I can do. I don't do well with cold at all. But when we had done a women's retreat several years ago, we had a Wim Hof trainer that was there, and she came in and did a demo with us, which was really cool. And so the breathing part of the technique was something that I can do. However, doing it in the cold was not something that I can do. So, and all they did was just get us to put our hands and get us to put our feet in. And but it's a really interesting technique to be able to just get into that cooling breathing, and it's really helpful. So one of the things that when I am doing meditation with anyone is that I always get people to pay attention to where is the breath. So when we always start with focus on your breathing and just notice where is your breath right at this particular moment. And a lot of times our breath is up in our upper chest. And so we need to get our breathing down into our diaphragm, into the lower part of our lungs, which allows us to be able to get into that that calming state. If you're with somebody who is going to be triggered by saying just breathe, like me, then don't say it. Just do it. Just continue to just breathe. And I know that I used to do this with my son when he was younger. And he used to say, I really hate it when you do that. And it's like, no, I'm breathing to keep myself calm. And it really was true. I was really trying to keep myself calm from getting super angry about whatever it is that was going on, because he was having some difficulty being able to bring himself back into breathing. So just being able to just take those deep breaths and then just exhaling. So if you're with someone else who is in that state, just practice that breathing and just do it for yourself. And then what ends up happening is that they end up mimicking. And so one of the things that even with my grandson, when he is starting to cry, is that and we can't get him settled, is that I just breathe. I just breathe and I just sing and I just stay calm, because if I can breathe and I can sing and I can stay calm, that he can't feel that I'm agitated, that we can't figure out what's wrong and why we can't calm him. And so it just allows us to be able to get into that state, and it is super helpful to be able to do. And so one of the things that is in true form is that you can't hyperventilate if you are focusing on your breath. You can't, and when there's like a lot of chaos and there's a lot of other things, if you can actually focus in on your breathing, you can't focus on those other things either, because you can't do two things at once. As much as we say that we can multitask, we can't. Essentially, a lot of things we do is just rote. So we just do it, right? So like we just walk and talk at the same time, and we can do that. But if you really pay attention to what it is that's going on, is that your brain's not necessarily thinking about one thing or the other. And when you actually have to focus on something, then everything else that you were trying to do stops. And so it's just really important for us to be able to remember that if we can focus on our breathing, then everything else needs to stop. Which means that if we're focusing on our breathing, then our breathing needs to slow down and it needs to get slower. And when we need to do that, it allows us to be able to get back into our bodies, because a lot of times we're outside of our bodies when something is going on. And I'm talking about anxiety for the most part, but it can happen in other emotions as well. But anxiety is what I tend to work with the most. And so that's one of the things, is just being able to just bring ourselves back into the here, into the now, and bringing those things back into that mindfulness that we were talking about. Right. So like we've talked about that a lot in this last month. And I talk about mindfulness in a lot of different things that I do. And that is because when we can actually just be present in the now, it allows us to be able to just be focused on whatever it is that's going on right in this second. So like I said, there's a lot of different techniques that you can use in terms of being able to get yourself back into breathing. And I think where I discovered the breath the most, like I said, I did it a lot with working with kids, is by using it with yoga, because I was the type of person, and I still am the type of person, to go, 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 go. And so by using yoga, it forced me to slow down. And so that was really, really helpful in that realm of things. And so one of the things that I want to bring forward in terms of the actual takeaway is I have a simple breathwork exercise, and it's called the 4-7-8, and you've probably heard it before, but I have this this workbook, that worksheet that actually teaches you how to be able to do that. So if you're interested in that, send me an email at info@rollyalair.ca. And if you're catching all of this inside the portal, then it is somewhere inside the portal. So on that note, I will talk to you guys later, and we will be back for day 28 tomorrow.